Well, I'm making some pretty good progress with the Ford Fairlane 500. This is a 1964 vintage original paint. It's got some nice patina on it. Pretty good. Pretty dirty. Ranch Wagon. And it looks, it looks all original inside and out. It's got the original interior. Just look at that patina. She's beautiful. And yeah, it smells old in here. It smells like grandma's house. And yeah, it's got a 1990 Fox body Mustang 5.0 high output. Now, this was the easy part. That thing bolted right into place on the original mounts, which were actually in pretty good shape. Somebody must have replaced them at some point. This had a 260 small block, so pretty much the same family engine as the 289, 302, 351. This is a pretty good fit though. Like, the hood will shut fine. Pretty happy with how that went in there. However, the transmission was a bit more work. The tunnel had to get cut out. Not only because the transmission was hitting the original one, but because we've got some pretty major rust issues going on here, and it was right up into the side of the tunnel. So all that has to be replaced anyway. So what I'd like to do is get an aftermarket tunnel and adapt and weld that in here, but I have to replace all the floor panels first, because it is there's not much left there. There's not much holding on. Like, it's a unibody car, and it's just like Swiss cheese. It's pretty weak. The upper part of the floor here seems to be fairly solid. That could probably get patched over, and then I could roll a piece down and cover over the floor. And the sides are still solid enough that we should be able to weld to that. There's no big holes in there. That's the main, I guess you call it, the frame of the car, even though this car doesn't have a frame. But yeah, it's kind of a big issue. And another big issue is the clutch pedal. How am I gonna fit that in here? And there's not really a whole lot of room with where the steering column is going. So I've got a few ideas on what I want to do with that. If this was my car, I'd be getting rid of this old steering column and this old pedal assembly, and I'd be putting power brakes into it. And I'll show you what I've got for that. So right here we've got a New Edge Mustang GT Hydro Boost setup. So that would go well with the power steering pump that's on the engine. At least I could use it for something instead of deleting it. It'd be nice to replace the manual steering box with a power steering box. So I think some of these cars did come with power steering as an option, and there's a company, I can't remember their name, but they make a power steering box for these mid-size Ford cars. Yeah, it's 3-bolt. So I'd love to buy one of those, get rid of the rubber joint, put a U-joint on there, steel one, and then a custom steering column with a newer style steering wheel that's not so big, and that'll totally change how this car drives. Same thing with the power brakes. This has a single line master cylinder that looks original. It's kind of scary. I'd feel a lot safer with the Hydro Boost setup. I was really happy to find out the original drive shaft actually is the right length. I just have to buy a conversion U-joint to go from the it's 1330 for the Fox body Mustang, and I need to go to a 1310 to fit that drive shaft. And on the back, it's got this this weird 1310 with 2 different size caps on it. So I have to make sure I get the right one of those to replace the rear U-joint, because it was all dry and it was a greasable. Somebody's been in there before, but that needs to be changed as well. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I can make that new edge master cylinder fit the Fox body pedal rack, but I'm not 100% sure on that yet. I have to look a little bit closer at where the steering shaft comes through and where I want these pedals to see if I want to use this or not. I was thinking maybe of getting rid of the cable clutch setup and buying a hydraulic conversion for this T5, which you can get, and then you can just get a Wilwood universal pedal. That would be pretty cool. But man, the rust is disappointing on this car. Once I got the carpets out of the front, I saw just how bad it was. I knew there was a couple little holes here you could feel the carpet through, but yeah, once you get it cleaned up and knock it with the hammer a little bit, it's pretty shot. And the back is no better. The back still has the carpets in it, and yeah, you can see she's crispy. The Lona. Bring out the Lona. Yeah, so it needs rear floor pans too. I don't think we'll be patching that up. Oh. Well, yeah, you know, that's a Ford 8-inch. Not a 9-inch, an 8-inch. You can see you can get to the bolt holes on the bottom. And she's a 3.0 ratio. Which is not terrible, it's not great. Be way funner with a 373 or a 410. Yeah, the T5 fit in there pretty good once you cut the tunnel out. I just made a quick mount. These frame pieces here are still pretty solid. That's what held up the original transmission cross member. They kind of go up and bolt on the frame, which is all, this stuff's all nice and solid. Anywhere that the water could sit in the carpet, you know, pretty much rotted out on this car, but otherwise it's pretty solid. Definitely fixed worse. And yeah, looks like somebody's put there's new ball joints in it. Those old shocks. I don't know how good this front end's gonna handle with some horsepower. And oh yeah, last thing's the headers. So definitely no room for headers. You can see the strut mount comes really close to the engine here. So I think my only option is to put manifolds on it. And I don't want to use the 260 manifolds. They are absolute garbage. They have I think about a 2-inch pipe coming out of them. Not big enough for this 302 for any kind of performance. So I could try to make custom headers for it, but I think that's going to be too much work for this project. I'm going to have to focus more on the floors. I'm going to look for a pair of older, like Mustang 302 headers or manifolds and see how those fit. There's a pair on Facebook Marketplace for sale, and I'm probably going to go pick up and see how that works. But yeah, the rust repair and the transmission tunnel is going to be a big deal.